Hey guys, welcome to the channel after a very long time. Hope you are all doing well. We have a new 5-star gem, the Haunt Coil, and in this video I'm going to review this 5-star gem Haunt Coil, both the defensive stats and the offensive stats. And for the first time I'm also going to provide you with numbers of the defensive stats because that is something very difficult to do, but I have spent a lot of time trying to figure out how this defensive stats actually work, and most importantly, whether the defensive stats provided by this gem stack up with other defensive stats that you already have on your character, which is the main concern of defensive stats, because we don't know what is all happening, whether they are stacking. It's very difficult to test, but here everything is going to be cleared. And later I'll also review the offensive stats, whether the dots damage is increased or not, whether you can extend the duration or not. Everything is going to be there in this video. So without wasting any more time, let's get into the discussion. So guys, I have a rank 4 Haunt Coil, and let's see what this gem does. When you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to haunt the enemy for 6 seconds. So there's a 10% chance that this gem is going to be active. So it's not a guarantee, first things, right? Now, when this gem gets activated, when you haunt the enemy, two things are going to happen, either or, right? First thing is going to be that if you're in offensive stance that time, you are going to deal 28% more damage to that enemy. This is at rank 4. At rank 10, it is 45%. And if you're in defensive stance, causes them to deal 28% reduced damage to you. So I have tested both these part, defensive and offensive. This is the first part of the gem. The second part is when you haunt the enemy, they are going to unleash blasts every 2 seconds, dealing 10% base damage. We are going to talk about this at the end of the video. This is a very like a utility type of feature. We're going to talk about at the end of the video. First, let's start with the defensive stats, that you are going to take reduced damage by 28%. So the way I want to approach this is by two ways: whether this defensive stance, how this works, this damage reduction, and whether this damage reduction stacks with other damage reduction that your character already has. Now, if you're a range player, you may not have other damage reductions, but if you're a melee player, you probably has damage reduction some way or the other. For example, Crusader, even in the defensive stance, you take 10% reduced incoming damage. Plus, you might have essences like, right now I have equipped a Sacred Chain essence. This will make you take 6.4% reduced damage, right? So the idea is whether this Sacred Chain damage reduction, whether the damage reduction from your stance, and whether Haunt Coil damage reduction all stack up. So everything is going to be answered by this one test that I did. So let's get onto it. So guys, this is going to clear a lot of doubts relating to damage reduction. So first test, I am in offensive stance, as you can see, and now I'm going to take a damage. It is coming to 9934, okay? And now I'm going to use Sacred Chain. This is going to reduce the damage that I take, right? I did the Sacred Chain and I am hit by my alt account, and it comes to 9399. By the way, all of these numbers I'll show you at the end of the video. I have noted it down in my notebook. Call me old school, but yeah, this is my best way. So this is coming to 5.3, not exactly 6.3, 6.4, so 1% gap, and this problem stays in all of my tests, but more on that later. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my stance from offensive to defensive. Now I'm in defensive stance. So from 9934, that was my initial damage taken. Now I'm in defensive stance and I take 9098, right? So this is coming to 8.4% damage reduction. So in both Sacred Chain and my this one, the damage reduction happens, but it is not exactly the number as stated in the in the tooltip. So there are some other mechanics that is happening on the background, but overall I can tell you from 9934 to 9098, and finally now I'm going to add the Sacred Chain, and we'll see whether the damage reduction from defensive stance and Sacred Chain add up or not. So 9098 was my last damage. And now I'm going to attack with my alt account. boom, it is coming to 8562. This is, so if I add up, both is coming to 13.81. So the point is both of them stack, the defensive stance damage reduction and the damage reduction from Sacred Chain, right? Now, if I add Haunt Coil into the mix, whether it is going to stack or not. So my test continues, right? So now I'm going to test the Haunt Coil. I'm hitting my alt account here, hoping the Haunt Coil is going to proc. And there you see that this is the proc sign of Haunt Coil. The animation is pretty underwhelming, honestly, just some green flames on your opponent. But anyway, my class has, green flames means Haunt Coil is active. And now I hit myself, it is coming to 6550. So guys, I have all these numbers here. I'll show you at the end again. But I went from 9098 to 6550, right, in my defensive stance. That is coming exactly at 28% damage reduction. At rank 4, this gem provides 28% damage reduction. So this one checks out very good. And finally, whether this is going to stack with my Sacred Chain or not, I'll show you right now. So I again attack and then I use Sacred Chain. And now I'm going to hit myself and this is coming to 6165. By the way, I have tested all of this, not just once, multiple times. Like here you can see, again, I'm testing this. Both of them are active. And now I'm going to take the damage. And it is coming to 6165. Hope you can see this. But yeah, it is 6165. So this is coming to 32.2, which means 28% from your Haunt Coil and 5 point something percent, 5.5% from your Sacred Chain. So it is stacking with your essences and even your defensive stance, damage reduction. So that is a sigh of relief. This is what I was worried of with this gem, whether it is going to stack with other defensive damage reduction. And yes, it does stack with your damage reduction from other sources, like from your essences, from your defensive stance. There can be damage reduction from even, magic affixes. I assume it is going to stack with everything. So damage reduction part is very good. Now we talk about the offensive part. Offensive part says when you haunt the enemy, you do 28% more damage, right? And this is going to last for 6 seconds. So number one question, how long can you increase the damage? Can you increase the duration by beneficial effect duration? Answer is no, but you can increase it with potency, indicating that this is a debuff applied on your enemy. It is not a damage boost on your character. It's a debuff on your enemy. But here is the twist, that even if it is a debuff, it acts as an additive damage buff to yourself. So what does that mean? So suppose I have 100 damage and I add a blood soaked jade. Say it's a rank 10 blood soaked jade, 24%. Now if I haunt the enemy with Haunt Coil, what happens is it is going to give me 45% more damage at rank 10. So this 24 and 45 gets added up, right? It is not multiplicative damage. So 25 plus, like if you have rank 4 like me, it will be 28%. So 24 plus 28, right? It's coming to 52%. So the damage from 100 will become 152, something like that, right? So it is additive damage, not multiplicative, right? But it is a debuff, right? So yeah, that is two different things, right? I hope I'm making sense. Also, the duration is 6 seconds. This duration can be increased. I have tested it already. It can be increased with your Feasting Barons, because this is a debuff. Like I said, it's like a harmful effect, and the duration of harmful effect is increased by 30% from your Feasting Barons and Misery Elixir. So both of them apply on this. So it can effectively become 11 or 12 seconds. But in PvP, I'll assume it to be 10%, for the, just on average, I mean. So basically the duration can be increased with potency. So if you are using Haunted Coil, if you have high potency, you will get more benefit from this particular gem. So from the offensive side, I'll say that is not much to test. There's not much to test. The duration is good. And yes, there is a big rumor that's going on that it is not increasing the damage of dots. which is weird because I tested it and it does increase the damage. I tested it with my Viper's Bite rank 8 and my damage of Viper's Bite actually increased once I haunted the enemy. So yeah, it is a gem made for dot builds primarily. It is very good for dot builds, and hence obviously it is going to work for dots. It is going to increase all your damage against that enemy, right? So yeah, even dot damage is going to be increased. So yeah guys, that is all the facts about these gems. Now let's talk about opinions. What is this gem good for everyone? I don't think so for everyone, but for a lot of people and a lot of builds, this gem is pretty good. So what I can say is the best use of this particular gem is definitely going to be for dot builds, example Necromancer, because there's a 10% chance applied, right, to make this gem activate. So if you have dot damage, the chances of activating this gem increases. It's almost become guaranteed if you're playing a dot build, right? So number one recommendation, if you are a dot player like Necromancer or even Demon Hunters who is using the strafe, non-stop attacking the enemy, you have the higher chance of triggering this gem, and definitely you can consider taking Haunt Coil in your top 8 gem. Now for other people, there are now if you have someone like the Barb who uses Hammer of the Ancients, right, the big the Flickerton, which deals big damage but the number of attacks are less. So for them I won't recommend, because there is a good chance that this gem might not trigger. Like if you have like big hits, and if you're not even using dot gems in those Barb builds, right, if you're using only damage boosting gems, this gem is not going to be so well, because it is going to be hit or miss. If it activates, then sure. If it not activates, it's bad, right? So those types of builds is not good. Like I was playing a build on a defensive character on Crusader, a tank build, on which I was not using any dot gems, right? So my character performance actually declined when I was using Haunt Coil. So what I did was, in my tank build, trust me, I actually used Viper's Bite. This actually gave me more chance to proc this particular gem even in my defensive stance. So if you are someone like a tank build who uses big damage, not the number of attacks are low, then consider using a dot gem along with this gem. Or yeah, if you don't have any dot gems, and if you only do big damages, you can probably avoid this gem. I'll suggest avoiding this gem. But yeah, I think for the most people in these days, BG, there's just so many effects happening from your character. If you have so many other gems, like you have Storm Vault, you have Fire from your Roiling, right, even from your Starfire, there are so many gems that proc at the same time. So it's a lot of time you will see that this gem more or less works most of the time. Only for a few cases like I highlighted, it's not going to work, but for rest of the people it is going to be very good. Now the last part is the second part of this gem, where once you haunt the enemy, they are going to do this damage every 2 seconds. The damage amount is pretty low, 10%, right? But if you're not resolving the dots, if you don't have a dot resolve build, right, if those enemy retreat and go to the their safe zone in the PvP, right, and they are going to still take this damage, and maybe if they are standing close to a teammate, they are also going to get hit with this. And from that, I have a feeling that you can even spread dots from that. Like if you have Viper's Bite and if you have Everlasting Torment, you will be able to spread your dot to that enemy as well. So this last part is not big for damage, it is more for utility. The enemy is running behind, so that is where this gem shines, right? So yeah, overall I'll say this is a pretty good gem. I think even for defensive characters like my Crusader, this gem has utility, because it is stacking up with other defensive stats, which was my main concern, and I'm glad that it is good for both defensive character and offensive character. Now comparison between this gem and other gem, that is going to take a long time, so I'll leave that for maybe some another video, or maybe in my live stream. I have started to go live again, so you can check out, you can ask me questions when I'm live, or you can let me know down in the comments below. I'll try to answer as much possible as I can, right? So that is all about the new gem Haunt Coil. Hope you're having fun in the game. If you have any queries, let me know down. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.